It is how infantile, how banal, how stupid they've become, especially Ed Miliband. I don't know if you've seen this utterly ridiculous video from the Labour Party conference. If you haven't, hide behind the sofa, cover your eyes and cover your ears if you don't have a strong constitution, because it's going to make you want to throw up inside your own face. And to me, this 100% indicates quite where we've fallen in this.
Starmer unexpectedly made a move that has placed the Labour Party in a perilous situation, threatening its very survival. How did this come to pass? What triggered this crisis? Why has this moment turned so chaotic? And what implications does this hold for the future of British politics? Brace yourself, because this is an exhilarating journey you won't want to miss. You won't believe it, but Starmer and his team have concocted a new brilliant idea that is utterly shocking. They proposed a plan to tackle the issue of small vessels by imposing sanctions on human traffickers. David Lammy is boasting about this as if he has just invented something revolutionary, while Yvette Cooper argues that it will only complicate matters for criminal gangs without actually stopping them. Last year, over 36,000 people crossed the English Channel. Yet, the Labour Party's response amounts to little more than financial warnings. Do Starmer and his team genuinely think they can penalise every human trafficker? The Labour Party is attempting to portray its sanctions as bold actions, but in reality, it's merely a smokescreen.
This has got nothing to do with racism. I'm a black woman. I will be voting for Keir Starmer. He has turned the party round and made it electable again. These people, on this faction on the left, they use colour all the time. It's identity politics. And it's the reason why the Tories always win, because they know that these useful idiots on the left will use colour every single time they don't get what they want, or they're not treated a certain way they want to be treated. Diane Abbott has said things that are very, very toxic, not just about Jews, about other people as well. So whenever people keep coming on the radio and saying, oh, well, this person said that person said that, she's got a track record. As far as I know, these people haven't.
The Labour Party is now attempting to downplay the seriousness of the situation, referring to it as a minor setback. But in what reality can such a substantial sum of money be deemed insignificant? A source within the British government candidly acknowledged that these demands are excessive, emphasizing that there is no endless supply of funds. This is the consequence of making promises without careful consideration. To complicate matters further, Donald Trump may intervene. His team has voiced concerns about the strategic implications in the Indian Ocean, particularly in light of the agreement's backing by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, a Trump ally. The future developments remain uncertain. The situation is beginning to echo recent events. The Labour Party's proposed immigration plan to Rwanda was an ambitious initiative that ultimately failed to materialize. Now, it seems the narrative surrounding the Chagos Agreement is repeating itself.
Governed by a bunch of stupid, wide-eyed students. Now you know. And this is what's going on. These idiots, these Labour idiots, these ideologues, these naive ideologues, they still see, they've got this old-fashioned idea, all landlords are evil, all bosses are evil and exploitative, and we have to stand up for the rights of the workers. Well, you know, apart from, you know, train drivers and doctors demanding 25% and nurses and all the usual public sector suspects, you know, over the past 10 years or so, have you noticed that much worker unrest? I haven't. That Labour have found a problem that doesn't exist. Most people are completely happy with their work. They go to work, they pick up their salary and they pay their way. That's been just fine. But income Labour, oh no, you're being exploited. We've got to stamp on these evil.
Even if they manage to punish a few individuals, won't new human traffickers simply emerge? It's like playing a game of hide-and-seek with national security. Instead of addressing the real issues, Starmer and his team seem more focused on appearing proactive. The British public is fed up with half-hearted measures and empty promises. They want to see genuine action, not just political theatrics. The Labour Party's plan is clearly insufficient, and voters won't be easily deceived. Without a tangible solution, all of this is just meaningless rhetoric. And what about the Labour Party's plan for the Chagos Islands? This is shaping up to be a total disaster. It all began when Starmer believed he had achieved a significant diplomatic victory by agreeing to return the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. However, the new government in Mauritius has complicated matters by demanding £800 million and billions in compensation. Under pressure, Keir Starmer rushed to offer several years' worth of payments in advance to keep the deal alive. But this raised alarms among US officials, including Trump's former national security advisor, regarding the strategic implications of the agreement, placing Labour in a highly precarious position.
We want a report that tells us there were shortfalls. We don't want a report saying mistakes must not be repeated. We know this. We know this information. People have got to go to jail. People have got to be punished for what happened, for their shortfalls. And you've got the Tory party and the Labour Party once again today playing tit-for-tat politics. I'm not surprised that survivors are furious. I'm furious. And I think anybody watching this show should feel furious. This feels like yet another whitewash.
This appointment is not just a slap in the face to Brexit voters, it also sends a clear message about the party's direction. Keir Starmer is eager to take the reins, surrounding himself with EU supporters like David Lammy, who once likened Brexiteers to individuals worse than Nazis. The inclusion of Robbins in Starmer's team is merely an attempt to pull Britain back into the EU's sphere of influence. Picture this: after Brexit, Britain finally breaks free from its parental home, and Starmer plays the role of an overbearing father who barges in uninvited, bringing leftovers and unsolicited advice. He refuses to allow the country the opportunity to stand on its own and thrive independently. This could lead to significant issues, such as attempts to rejoin the customs union, stricter adherence to EU regulations, or even the possibility of a second referendum. This path threatens to undo all the progress made since 2016. Brexit supporters feel utterly betrayed. John from Sunderland, a loyal Labour voter, expressed his frustration. "I voted to leave the EU to regain control, but Starmer's choice of personnel makes me feel like he wants to hand everything back to Brussels. It's a betrayal of everything we fought for."
Do they think we're stupid? Do they think we're going to fall for this anymore? This is a very narrow focus, only 5 towns out of 50. There's nowhere near enough money to do the job. There's not even enough money to do one town. If you add in inflation compared to what Telford costs, it has no statutory powers. People can't be compelled to give evidence. We don't know who's going to call the witnesses. We don't know who's not going to be called. We might know, we don't know, for example, if people from the past might not be called up because, hey, they were on the council at the same time. Who's running the inquiry? Does it have any power? Will anybody go to jail? We don't want...
It's puzzling why the Labour Party keeps repeating the same mistakes, presenting grandiose plans, disregarding all warnings, and then acting shocked when everything falls apart. They appear to be trapped in a political bubble, completely out of touch with reality. Each time the Labour Party fails with an unrealistic proposal, they further erode the trust of the British public. People are no longer easily swayed by empty promises. They can clearly see that the party prioritizes its international image over addressing urgent domestic issues. And it doesn't stop there. Starmer remains fixated on the EU, unable to resist the temptation of high-profile international agreements, while real domestic challenges go unaddressed. This misplaced focus not only underscores the flaws in the Labour Party's strategy, but could also lead to even greater problems down the line. Ollie Robbins, who once stirred controversy by expressing interest in acquiring Belgian citizenship during the Brexit negotiations, has now made a return to power.
Listen, my advice to Keir Starmer is to stop being an idiot because, listen, Keir Starmer and half of the cabinet voted against President Trump's state visit last time round. We've got so many of members of the cabinet, David Lammy notably, having carried out vitriolic and ridiculous personal attacks on Donald Trump. They're all now desperately trying to backtrack and they're all desperately trying to suck up to President Trump. You know, at best, they're going to be irrelevant. But at worst, they have done great harm to the UK's national interest. So they've got to grow up, stop playing petty student politics, and actually stand up for the UK, get a free trade agreement, work on ensuring our military and security agreements are robust, and learn the lessons of how Donald Trump is securing their border for a start.
Public opinion polls are increasingly revealing a troubling rise in dissatisfaction with Starmer's leadership. Even within the Labour Party, concerns are being raised about the potential loss of votes in regions that support Brexit. Niall Gardner, a former aide to Margaret Thatcher, openly suggests that this could indicate the Labour Party's willingness to betray Britain in favour of the EU. Meanwhile, Conservative MP Mark Francois does not hesitate to label Robbins as the ideal choice for those looking to pull Britain back into the embrace of Europe. What is most alarming, however, is that Starmer appears to be living in a pro-European bubble, completely oblivious to the harm he is inflicting on his own party. With each new appointment of a pro-European figure and every indication of tightening ties with Brussels, he continues to alienate more voters. This issue transcends Brexit. It's fundamentally about trust. This is the narrative of a political party that seems to have lost sight of who it truly represents. Once the voice of the working class, Labour now resembles a party of the urban elite, more focused on the opinions of Brussels than on the genuine needs of voters in Barnsley and other towns. This is a betrayal that cannot go unpunished. Until next time.